Hey, Jim Roman here, national speaker and business coach, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Jim Roman Show. I started a little bit early so that I can get everybody online before we move ahead on today's topic for discussion. Before we do get officially started in 30 seconds, I want to just go over a couple of things before we get started. Number one, if you like this content and our weekly episodes, please subscribe to this channel and click on that notification bell so that every time we post a video, you find out about it. And number two, would love for you to submit positive comments as to what do you get out of these particular presentations. Today, we're going to be talking to the power of purpose. Or excuse me, let me take that back. We'll be talking about the power of progress of developing a strategic plan. I have one of my team members is monitoring chats. So today how this will go, if you've not been on our show before, I typically start off with a topic. I speak for 15, 20 minutes. Then I give you some final thoughts. And then if you stick around, we'll answer some of the questions in the comments below. If you're going to watch this recording after we go live, I would highly recommend, again, comment below, subscribing as well. I do look at the comments on a regular basis, so I want to keep this going on and on and on. So as we get started, again, I'm waiting for everyone to get on the call right now so that we can see their comments. So if you would, put information in the chat box when you get a chance, and I will just jump into what we're talking about right now. So with that being said, if everybody's ready, I'm looking for my chat box now. Show the chat box. Great. So let's get started in 5, 4, 3. Hey, today marks the end of third quarter, the beginning of the next quarter. Are you ready? Do you have a plan? Hi, I'm Jim Roman, national trainer and business coach, and I want to welcome you to this episode where we're going to be talking about the power of progress, creating a strategic plan. I love this time of the year because this is the time of the year that I reflect on how am I doing. So often, a lot of times people wait till the end of the year to do that, and I think it's a little too late to do that. And so in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how to plan not only for this quarter, but for next year. If you're not starting to plan now, or at least thinking of the planning process, you're missing a huge opportunity. So what I like to start off by talking about is if you were a client of mine today, and I know I'll be sending this recording out to my clients, and so for our clients, welcome. For those of you this first time seeing this or meeting me, welcome. I really want to talk into the strategic planning process, and not your typical big business planning, but really the micro to millions process for that micro business planning, if you will. So today marks the end of the quarter, the beginning of next quarter. As I asked, are you ready? And do you have a plan? I think so often people are just rushing through life or just rushing through to the next thing, and they're missing the opportunity to work on their business versus in their business. You probably heard of that concept from the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber, where he talks about taking time to work on your business. It makes a big, big difference. And sort of these episodes are opportunities for you to do that. So if you are a client of mine today, and for my clients watching this right now, what I really want you to be thinking about is number one is revisiting your plan that you started at the beginning of this year. There are certain things when I'm coaching a client that I want to know. Number one, you probably heard me talk about this before in previous episodes, is what stage of business are they in? We've talked in previous episodes, you can see a previous video on this very topic, the 9 stages of business ownership. This reflects small business owners and what they go through in their teams. In the beginning stages of a business, the business owns them. In the later stages, the more mature stages, they own it. In the beginning stages, they have little to no time, little to no money. In the later stages, they have time and money to do the things they want in the business as well as outside the business. So that's one of the first things I ask my clients is to ask themselves, what stage of business are they in? Are they in the same stage where they started in the year, or have they progressed to the next stage? Or I would hate to see them going backwards in stages. So that's the first thing when it comes to the power of progress, which I'll talk a little bit more about that later, and why that's an important statement in my experience, is what stage of business are you in? And then the next step is to understand what drives your business success. And again, we've talked about this in previous videos, what we would call the 5 drivers. The 5 drivers are something I uncovered and discovered in working with thousands of companies. When I would go in and offer a free consultation or free assessment of their business, I would just ask a series of questions. It was interesting when I asked these questions, they didn't have the answers. And the answers they had were maybe not as crystal clear as they could be. And these questions are evolved around question number 1 is, why do you do what you do? What is your purpose and passion? As you know, most people that I talk to a lot of times lost their purpose and passion, especially now what's going on in the world. You give up hope sometimes. And so one of the things in developing a plan is to understand your purpose and passion behind your product and service. If you haven't revisited that, if you're not connected to that, I would suggest this is a perfect time to really reflect on that. And if you need help with that, please reach out to one of our certified business coaches. We would love to have a conversation around that subject. Another question, a part of the planning process we ask our clients is, where do you want to be beyond the business? What are your dreams and aspirations? I find so often that people, because of business and how difficult it can be at times, is that they don't remember what their dreams and aspirations are. And I think it was 2 videos ago, we talked a lot about life goals. In fact, we talked about how retirement is a ruse. Retirement was created overseas to get people to work longer so they didn't have to pay them as much. And there's a whole subject on that. You Google how did retirement get created, you'll be fascinated by that story, or just watch the previous video on retirement is a ruse, and I think you'll find some value in that. But going back to the life goals, what are your life goals? What are you doing with your dreams and aspirations? Have you dreamt about those dreams and aspirations? And have you put the math to the dreams and aspirations? For example, I've talked in, again, previous videos where I had a client who owned a flooring store, and her dream was to go to Disney and to travel the country, across country in an RV. And when we did the math, we figured out what it would cost to have that kind of lifestyle. She realized, based on her average sale and her closing ratio, she only needed 8 more deals or sales to have the cash flow to live that dream. And the story ends by her actually not only achieving that goal, but going on to $1 million company, selling that company. And now she does coaching around the country, doing the things that she learned with her own business. The third question that we tend to ask in the planning process to help you with your progress and find the power in that is, what do you need your business to look like, feel like, and act like? In other words, what is your organizational structure, culturally, financially, and physically? Now, I just want to pause for a moment. If you would like these tools that I am referencing right now, we actually just recently launched a free course that talks about the 9 stages and the 5 drivers. You can go to my website at jimromanonline.com and click on programs to go find those. You can also go to bou.thinkific.com is our online platform we just launched this week. And I would click on the Start Here program. The Start Here program will talk about these principles, and at no charge, free of cost, you can download these templates and helping you build a better business, to build a better life. So in that Start Here course is the organizational stability and structure. I find that in strategic planning, we should be asking ourselves regularly, at least once a quarter, what do I want my business to look like culturally? What kind of environment do I want to have for my team? What kind of environment do I want to have for my vendors? So often we don't think about that. In the book, Vivid Vision, Cameron Herold, who wrote the book on that, talks about this vivid vision. What do you want your business to look like, feel like, and act like? And I really love it in that book about the vision wall, having a vivid vision wall where your team, and even your vendors, if you like to, can contribute to that culture, if you will, that environment. Then there's financially, what should your organization look like now and in the future? How much money do you want to have, need to have, and desire to have? And that could be a whole topic on that. One of my favorite books on financial numbers is Simple Numbers, Big Profits by John Crabtree. What I love about this book, it's one of the best books on numbers I've ever read, because it talks about in chapter 1, pay yourself. Chapter 2, it says, pay yourself and pay your taxes. Chapter 3 says, if I didn't say it before, pay yourself, pay your taxes, and pay your people properly. And it goes into the key components of the numbers, if you will, better than I've ever seen before. And I highly recommend that this time of the year, at the end of a quarter, beginning of a quarter, how are you doing? Whether you're ahead or behind, we still should be looking at our profit and loss, our cash flow statements, and we should be looking at our balance sheets, along with our number of appointments or closing ratio. And then if you have KPIs or key performance indicators for your team, you should be looking at those as well. And then the final thing is what your business should look like, again, is organizationally, physically, as I mentioned here in this example. And I talk about this often, where so often we only look at our org chart, what we want our business to look like today, but we don't look like what it's in the future. And by looking for in the future, who we're going to have on our team, how many offices we're going to have, all those good things, if you can see it, I say you're more likely to achieve it. But if you're not thinking about that, then your odds of achieving it go down. Why am I sharing this with you? For those who are my clients, you know I ask these questions regularly, but I want to make sure with or without me, you are checking in with yourself and asking yourself, number one, what stage of business are you in? What stage of business do you want to be in? Number two, do you know your 5 drivers, the things that drive your success, your why you do what you do, where do you want to be beyond the business, your dreams and aspirations, and what does your business need to look like? Today, I want to go a step further in the planning process with you, my clients, those who used to work with us, those who will work with us in the future, is another driver, and that is the waypoints, milestones. What are waypoints and milestones? Those are steps along the way in your business journey that you take to get you closer to where you want to go. So let me give you an example of waypoints. A lot of times when I talk to people about goal setting, I find that they get their goals mixed up with their strategies. So let me ask you, is losing weight a goal or a strategy? Put a comment below. Comment below, is a goal, is losing weight a goal or a strategy? 9 times out of 10, people will say it's a goal. And I would argue that it's actually a strategy. It's a strategy for something bigger and better. I'll give you an example. One of my chiropractic clients was sharing me a story with one of her patients came in, and the chiropractor said to her patient, "Wow, you look really good. Did you lose weight?" She says, "No, I haven't lost weight. I've been working out. I've been eating better, and I haven't lost weight." Well, with further analysis, what had happened was that she actually lost fat, but gained muscle. And she actually had new clothes on that she recently bought for herself because she could fit into these beautiful clothes. And that's why the chiropractor noticed a change in her. And what they realized was that losing weight was not a goal, it was a strategy to looking better, feeling better, and dressing better was the ultimate goal. Some of us want to lose weight because we're going to a class reunion, we're getting married, or we're dating new people and things like that. And so I think it's more of a strategy, is a goal. And so often we're looking at the scale and we're not looking at the physical body in this particular case. So when it comes to setting goals, I think so often people mix a goal with a strategy. So we've introduced the concept of waypoints or milestones, steps along the journey that get you there. It's very similar to sailing. I don't sail, but I knew a very avid sailors in the past. And they would share with me, when you're sailing, you have waypoints, milestones that you go. When you're flying, you have waypoints and milestones that you try to achieve. You're not going always in a straight line, because you have, from a sailing perspective, you have currents, and from flying, you have also currents that will put you off course. And so by having a waypoint, a step along the journey, makes the biggest difference. So another example, to give you what a definition of a waypoint or metaphor, analogy of a metaphor, is how do you run a marathon? I'm told how you run a marathon is one step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you achieve your business goals? One waypoint at a time. In other words, you just go and say, hey, I'm going to make $1 million this year, and then just go for it. You say $1 million this year, and then you break it down into bite-sized pieces or waypoints or milestones that you need to achieve. For example, you might need to get X amount of sales to then hire somebody, to be able to bring in more sales, to hire more people. And over time, hitting those waypoints or milestones along the way, you hit $1 million or more in revenue. Why is this important now more than ever at the end of a quarter, beginning of a quarter? From a planning perspective, it is because we want you to be making progress. So I recently was following Anthony Robbins and come across one of his videos, and he said in the video, one of the keys to success in life and success is progress. Us as human beings, we have to feel like we're progressing to win. And I find that when we stop progressing, or at least feel like we're not progressing, we start to lose that momentum, lose that positivity, lose that drive. I recently did a video on Facebook introducing today's live event, and I was talking about my journey of losing weight. I recently moved into a new house. I live in Florida for the last year and a half, and I decided that I was going to take on my weight as a goal / strategy. I wanted to lose more weight as a strategy so that I feel better and I can live longer. My dad passed away of a heart attack at age 62 from high blood pressure, and I don't want the same thing to happen to me. And so that's always been in the back of my mind. But for years, I thought, there's no way I'll ever lose weight. I'll never work out again. Even though I was a black belt at one point, I'll never do it. I'll never do it. And I know that's not the right answer. But over time, I've hired coaches, nutrition coaches, physical workout coaches, and things like that. And I've learned enough about eating well, working out well. And I'm in a health group, actually, that I'll be posting recently, my success. And a lot of this is inspiration by other people who did this. Why am I bringing this up? Because along the journey of anything, whether you're trying to lose weight, gain momentum, make more money, you want to make progress. Little bite-sized pieces can make the world of difference. I think so often when we try to go for a goal, we go too big. And then we go too big, we then fall short. And then when we fall short, we feel bad about it. My journey, I'll share with you, if you haven't seen the video on Facebook, is as one as this. I used to weigh 233 pounds. I've weighed 233 pounds for a long time. And at the height of 6'2", 6'2 3/4, I should be less than 200 pounds. And so knowing that I was at 233 and at risk of having health issues down the road, I always wanted to do something about it, but never did anything about it. So as I moved into this new house in Florida on April 1st, I decided to tackle my weight. And I realized one of the ways that I was gaining weight is I was using food and alcohol, wine and bourbon, to distress at the end of the day. I don't know about you, but I would use food as a distressor, or alcohol, wine at the end of the day. And I would end up gaining more weight. I read the book 7-Day Diet. And in the book 7-Day Diet, it talks about how to, again, eat better, think better. And it also gives you cheat days where you can have wine on certain days and not gain no weight. And so I learned things from that book. I do digress, I do apologize. But in this journey of going from 233, I decided I was going to try to go to 225. I said, I think that would be a good weight point, a good milestone, 225. And so I started eating better, eating less, and not drinking as much. In fact, I drink maybe 1 glass of wine to 2 glasses of wine a week, where I might have 2 or 3 previously. And those liquid calories don't help, as you probably know. So I started this journey, 233 pounds. I started eating better, eating a good breakfast, having a snack, lunch, a snack, and then a light dinner. I would do essentially what's called a calorie deficit. And interesting enough, I started losing weight. I used a pound every 2 to 3 days. And as I was approaching 225, I was getting super excited. Like, oh my God, I don't believe this is actually happening. Except when I got to 226, I decided to celebrate with a glass of wine and say, woo, I'm making it. And that messed me up. I progressed again down to 223, had some bourbon with some friends over my house, and I stopped the progress once again. And again, the journey kept on going and going and going. Fast forward. Today, this morning, right before this recording, I got on the scale, and I now weigh 198 pounds. Actually, 197.8, but not to be too picky. It's 198 pounds. And how did I do it? Is I told myself daily, weekly, and monthly that I was making progress, even if it was the smallest thing. Telling myself that, yes, you didn't eat this thing, and you didn't drink this thing, and yes, you're getting closer. Or if I did eat or drink something and I didn't lose any weight, I was still making progress because I was no longer 233 pounds. I had to remind myself, I'm no longer 233, I'm no longer 225, I'm no longer 220, and so on and so on and so on. And I ended up at 200 and now I just lost my train of thought, 198 pounds as of today. Now I want to start working out to build up the muscle to burn the rest off that I have. And my point of this is, out of all the things I've ever accomplished, I was a Boy Scout, a Life Scout, I was an altar boy, alkalite, I was a black belt, I was a sergeant in the Air Force. I've accomplished a lot of things over my life. Over the last 15 years, I've done as well, but not as much as I used to. And that took a toll on me, I'll be honest with you. And I think if I would have developed my plan better, stuck to my plan better, I would have achieved a lot of greater things. Don't get me wrong, I've made a difference. But I wanted to really point out the power of progress. And that's what's made the biggest difference for me this year during these difficult times, is the reminding myself I am progressing spiritually, physically, financially, mentally, emotionally, even if it's just a little bit in each one of those areas. I started reading my Bible many years ago, but I didn't stick to it. And this year I started reading my devotional every day and I stuck to it. I don't read my Bible every day, but I read my devotional every day. And that makes the biggest difference. Maybe for you, it's meditating every day or every week. So a part of the planning process is to understand what do you need to plan, and then scheduling or creating those waypoints, those strategies, those milestones to help you to achieve that. So before I move on to the action part of this, I want to just take a moment for you to post in the comments below, what are some of the insights, ahas, or questions that you might have? So as you're putting those comments below in the chats below, I just want to share, again, recap what we've talked about, and then really get into specifics. I'm all about specifics. I had someone recently who was doing some of my recordings, and she said to me, you know, when you're speaking to someone directly or thinking you're speaking to them directly, you are more animated than when you're just speaking to the camera. And I feel like I'm just speaking to the camera right now, and that's okay, but now I want to get specific. So to recap what we've covered so far, is it's the end of the quarter, beginning of a new quarter. Do you have a plan? Are you ready not only for this quarter, for next quarter and years to come? And a strategic plan makes the biggest difference. Understanding what stage of business you're in makes the biggest difference. Understanding the 5 drivers to success is another part of that plan. And then what we're really talking about now is waypoints or milestones. Creating progressive points in the process to help you feel like you're winning. And when you're winning, you tend to be more positive and more successful. So let's go into some of the specifics. Before I do that, I want to again look at the chat box in a moment. So bear with me as I do the chat box. We're live, good. Losing weight, goal or strategy, good. Questions here in the chat, awesome. So keep on putting those comments below, I really appreciate that. So let's talk about waypoints in specific. So what are some of the waypoints that you can draw from? First off, before I forget, if you want to get our strategic planning program, we just released that this morning as part of this series. And if you wanted to get that, you can go to our website and receive that. You just, again, go to bouthinkgific.com and click on the Micro to Millions Strategic Planning Masterclass. And that'll give you all the things I'm talking about today and then some. It talks about what a plan is and is not. It talks about what drives you, how to organize your business, determine what's next, and then how to apply what you learned. We're also throwing a couple of bonuses, which is a panel discussion of experts that I brought in on this one-day event, and they talk about putting this to practice. We're offering for a short period of time a 1-hour private session with one of our certified business coaches to apply or to finish your strategic planning process. And then we also have audios on the go. If you're an Audible type of person, we threw that in as an added bonus as well. But I really want to go into the specifics now. So let's apply today's principles that we talked about. So let's talk about waypoints. So one of the ways that I determine what's the next steps I need to take in my business, I ask myself from a strategic planning process perspective, asking myself the 5 drivers, wherever that is around here, is given where I'm at today and where I want to be in the future, what do I need to do next? Let me say that again. Given where I'm at today in my business and where I want to be in the future, say at the end of this year, end of next year, what is my next waypoint, milestone, next step I need to take? Typically, we find it's in one of 3 areas. You need to make the next steps of making more money, or you need more people, or you want more processes. So typically the next step for a business, given where you are today, either A, you need to make more money, you need to get more people to help you get the work done to go to the next level, or you need processes in place for your people to run your business to free you up to have a life and not to work yourself to death. I'd like to, if you'll encourage me, I'd like to go in each one of these specifics because I don't know what stage you're in and I want to serve as many people who are watching this video or will watch this video. So let's use an example if you need to make more money. So in the strategic planning guide, we talk about writing down your next 3 waypoints. And let's just say, for argument's sake, your next waypoint is to make money. The next waypoint after that, or milestone after that, is to make money so you can hire somebody to help you finish or develop your processes. So let's use that as an example for your strategic plan. So if you want to make more money, you then want to take the first waypoint, make more money, and then write in all the things that you think you need to do to make more money. For example, it could be you need to get more prospect appointments. It may be you need to cut business expenses. Maybe you need to put together a spending plan or a budget. What I find that's very powerful, that if I can, and I'll do this, I've never done this before, so I'll write this up, but if I'm creating a strategic plan and I am creating 3 columns and say waypoint number 1 is to make more money, column number 2 is to get more people, and column number 3 is to get more processes, what I want to be able to do is write in everything that comes to mind that I can do to bring in more business or make more money. Same thing with people. And then with processes. I might even go so far as to write in things beyond the things that I want or need. And then think about, when it comes to people, maybe I have a development platform for my people. And when it comes to processes, I might have certain softwares. And what I'm going to say, and in my experience, is when I can put that down on paper, get it out of my head, get it down on paper, and organize it in a organized fashion, I start to have a breakthrough. I start to have freedom in my thinking. So one observation would be, is number 1, what are your next 3 waypoints? Right now, given where you are, where you want to be, what's the next step? Let's just say making more money. Write down what you can do to make more money. So some examples that we have worked with recently with the client. So one of our clients, we'll say, is a flooring store, very similar to the client story I told you before. And one of the ways of making more money was to make more sales. And one of the ways of making more sales would get more people in the door. So how do you get more people in the door? One is to update their social media. One of the things is during COVID, the social media was not updated. So we wanted to update it. And so we did that. They have a phenomenal marketing and advertising guy who does their website. And he was doing some wonderful ads for their company to drive more traffic. The third thing was to increase their networking effectiveness, getting the team from the company to go do more networking, but being more effective for their networking. In this example, they were doing multiple ways to bring in business versus just one way, hoping, praying, and begging it comes in. For some companies, maybe getting a sales assistant is what you need to make more money. Maybe you have plenty of business, you just can't get to it all. And so what you might be doing is get yourself a sales assistant. So making more money, to break that down even further, is get a sales assistant. To get a sales assistant, you might break that down even further and say, what do I want my sales assistant to do? Maybe schedule appointments, maybe manage my CRM, my customer relationship management software, my prospects in my pipeline. Maybe it's to enter my business cards from my networking efforts into my system. And maybe it is to help me to follow up with proposals or create proposals. Or finally, it could be that you need to hire a salesperson. And so maybe hiring a salesperson is your next milestone waypoint in this case. And you need to create a job description, a job post. You need to develop questions for vetting out the wrong salespeople to find the right salespeople. Then you might need to create a training program, a 90-day and a 6-month program to help train and develop them, versus just setting and forgetting them. So that might be just several examples of what you could do to be making more money. So again, not to be redundant, but if you need to make more money, maybe that is that you need to have more strategies for bringing in business other than hoping, praying, and begging. You may need to network more effectively. You might need to look into social media, advertising. I love relationship-based marketing. I like tapping into my current customers and my past customers. I love doing business with people I already done business with because they know and like and trust me, and I know, like, and trust them. And so you can create a whole marketing plan around current clients and past clients to bring in business. Again, get yourself a sales assistant, everything that you might need to do, writing that down as a sales assistant, and then eventually getting a salesperson. Finally, in bringing in more business, and this is the more advanced level of it, for some of you, you're not getting in front of the right type of people. You're getting in front of people, but they don't have the ability to buy. You want to then maybe revisit your target market, your persona, who you want to be doing business with. Maybe you want to figure out how to increase your closing ratio or your average sale. As you can see in this example, when creating a waypoint, there's a lot of things I just talked about, and just trying to achieve that one waypoint could take 3, 4, 5 months, maybe up to a year. And now trying to do all 3 waypoints at the same time may not be the best use of your time, depending how small or how big you are. So as you can see, as we make progress in bringing in more business, making more money, I believe what starts to happen is life comes to us, drive comes to us, because we're breaking it down into bite-sized pieces and not trying to take too much at a time. Let me give you another example. So again, comment below if it waypoints. What are some of your waypoints that you're thinking about right now that you need, given where you are, given where you want to go? What is the next step, the next milestone, the next waypoint you need to achieve your goals? Write that in the comments below. Let's use the people piece. Let's use the people piece as a way to be able to, maybe that's your next waypoint. You need to find more people or develop your current people. Let's talk about that. So if you, and I have some notes here. So one of my clients, this is some of the clients in my note, one of their waypoints is to maximize their team's effectiveness, maximize the profit for their company, and then develop bringing in business strategies for the future. So under the maximizing the team effectiveness, one of the things that they want to do is develop a training program so that if the owner gets busy and doesn't have time to train and develop his people, they have something to do and or watch. So it was posed to me, hey, Jim, what would you do to go about training, say, an IT company? Say you have an IT and you have, say, 3 technicians who work for you. What would I do in my experience in working with other IT companies over the years is I would create a training platform for what we call level 1 techs, level 2 techs, and level 3 techs. And level 1 is someone who does basic fixes. A level 2 can do more sophisticated stuff. And then level 3 can do the big stuff and develop and design systems for companies. And I suggested to this client that if it were me and I were you, I would have my typical job description as part of my training and development and hiring. I would have my typical training as what it means to be a part of your organization from a corporate culture perspective, we call orientation. But then I would start to have different layers or levels of teaching and training based on your industry, based on your sophisticatedness, your skill level. And so I suggested you go out to the internet as an interim solution and find trainings that are already existing in the world for level 1, level 2, and level 3, and have his technicians go and find it. Bring it to him, and then they vet the content together. If it was good for, kinesthetic, visual, verbal, audible type persons, is it advanced training or simple training, and start to curate a library. I think after doing that research, the next level would be there are companies that offer this kind of training already out there that may not be in the budget today, could be budget in the future. And so there are probably companies out there already teach level 1, level 2, level 3 stuff that you can subscribe to. I have to believe that. And I believe they'll come across that by doing the preliminary research. And then eventually the third level of training is them training each other, or better yet, training the new people coming on board at level 1, level 2, level 3. So in this particular example, when it comes to finding people, we've talked about that from a hiring process, but we're talking about developing people in this example, and that is having a job description, having a development plan, and then a training plan. And then each one of those elements you can break down. What does it take to develop a job description? What does a development plan encompass, and how does that complement the job description plan? And then ultimately the training plan ongoing regularly through the peers, through the managers, and so on. So you can see in these examples that there's a lot that goes into a milestone, in this case, waypoint, than just saying, I want to have better people. I just want to make more money. I just want to be able to have a life. And I really just wanted to share this with my current clients, past clients, and potentially new clients, that this is the time of year that we should be planning and asking ourselves, are we where we want to be? But more importantly, how do we get where we want to go? First is understanding the 9 stages. 2, knowing what drives you. We call the 5 drivers. And number 3, creating a plan to get you the progress that you need so you feel like you're winning, even if it's a little bit at a time. I didn't lose weight over time. I mean, lose weight overnight. I lost it over time. And I told myself each step of the way, whether I was at 233, 215, 200, and today 198, that I'm making progress. And every time I said that, I'm making progress emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, relationally. I wanted to do it more and more and more and more. So I want to thank you for watching this video today. If you got some value out of it, please let me know. Feel free to email me at questions@askjimroman.com. Click in the links below to all of the resources that we have available, to include liking me on social media. And don't forget to subscribe and click that bell for notifications, so when we post these types of videos in the near future, you are notified. As I mentioned before, if you want any of the things that I talked about before, go to our brand new online platform, bou.thinkific.com, to get out the free course to getting those templates. And we just launched this morning, developing a strategic planning guide program. You can purchase that there as well. As always, don't hesitate to reach out to me, comment, message me, or email me your questions, concerns, or things that you would like to talk about on topics on these shows. I would really love it. I thank you for being here today. Again, my name is Jim Roman. The more you know, the more we all grow. Thank you for joining me. Have a great one. Okay, for those of you who are sticking around, I'm going to look at the comments right now. For everyone else who clicked out, they may or may not miss out on that. So let's look into the comments. Again, we're doing this new on YouTube. I would love to know, for those who go this far in the video, do you have a preference if we go live on Facebook? Do we go live on YouTube? We really want to know what kind of content that you want, because I don't know what's the easiest way to do the chats with you. So feel free to let us know that. A couple of last things. My website is jimromanonline.com. You can get access to everything that I talked about through that funnel. The courses and classes that I talked about today is at bou.thinkific.com. We just launched that today. And as always, email me your questions, comments, and your concerns, challenges you're facing. We love to resolve those, solve those at questions@askjimroman.com. So I don't see any questions or comments in the chat box. So with that being said, I will say goodbye for a second time. And again, I can't thank you enough for being a part of our community. We have so much planned for the coming months, as well as the coming years. Love you, appreciate you. Goodbye, and God bless.